Secretary the opportunity to use their morning commute to get people off the streets, as Sky's Katie Spencer explains.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Amy, part of your onboard crew.
It's a simple business model. For commuters on Virgin trains, buying a cup of coffee means they could help change a life through a special social enterprise scheme designed to get people off the streets.
It works by finding people who are ready for employment. We train them to be a barista. We provide them with housing within 10 days, a bank account, therapy support, and then within 6 months after joining us, we support our staff into new jobs with some of our corporate partners.
100% of the profits goes back into setting up someone like Thomas, who used to be homeless, in a mobile coffee van.
I had no money, I had no job, I had nothing. It changed everything. At the time when I first arrived, this was not me. I wouldn't talk to you. I'm an angry person. Now I'm really nice. I love my job, I love my bosses, everything's great. I mean, my life has changed from living on the street to now I live in my own flat. I mean, it's life-changing.
For Thomas, who was so low he'd considered killing himself, making coffee was his way back into society.
Social enterprises offer a supportive environment, but within a market, within a mainstream business. So there's an opportunity there to develop and grow within a job, and that's what's going to most help to end homelessness in the UK.
In the last 3 years, Change Please has helped get more than 84 people back into work at 32 sites across London and Manchester. Help that's badly needed. According to homeless charity Crisis, since 2010, there's been a 169% increase in the number of homeless people in England. The problem is now impossible to ignore.
I travel a lot between Manchester and London for work, so I can see that the homelessness problem is growing at both sides of the country.
Well, I grew up in London, so I know what it's like. I've seen it firsthand, and it's just such a big problem, and you want to do something to help, but you're not really sure what to do.
Looking at where we spend our money is a start, and unlike the corporate coffee giants, small sips here can help provide the first steps towards turning a life around. Katie Spencer, Sky News.
Let's bring you more on this now. The Managing Director of the Big Issue Group, John Montague, joins me now live from Ironbridge. Very good morning to you, John.
Good morning.
What do you make of this initiative?
Well, we started the work with Change Please some 3 years ago, and we were one of the initial investors through our social investment arm to support Change Please into exactly what they're doing, which is how do we develop support to people through trade, not aid, giving people that opportunity to actually move their lives forward. Some of Kamal's and Change Please's baristas have come via the Big Issue, and I think it's that opportunity for us all through our trade to actually support people, to actually rebuild their lives.
So you must be very pleased with the success that this scheme has put in place. Can you give me any examples of how it's helped people in their day-to-day lives?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing, whether you start with the Big Issue, selling the Big Issue, I think the important thing to me is on the Big Issue, it is those people who've engaged with us, who've decided not to sit there with a polystyrene cup in front of them, but actually to stand up, to try and engage with people. They buy the magazine from us and they sell the magazine. They're all mini entrepreneurs. You know, they're a news agent on the street. So actually, that first part in someone's journey to rebuild their lives starts with the Big Issue and hopefully moves on to other social enterprises, moves into employment exactly the same way as Change Please.
And it's so much more than money, isn't it? We were listening to one gentleman in the report there who talks about self-esteem and confidence and being able to look someone in the eye and have a conversation.
Absolutely. You know, the majority of people that end up homeless, and I think there is this challenge of what we all mean by homeless. We all get very upset by people on the street. And, you know, in Crisis's last sort of street survey in 2017, there were 4,500 to 5,000 people sleeping on the street at night. This is a civilised Western society, but actually that is just underpinning. It's the tip of the iceberg of the 100,000 that are actually registered homeless with local authorities, the hundreds of thousands of people that are on the edge, sofa surfing, living with friends, B&Bing. So I think the topic of homelessness is much broader than what people see, and I think it's how we support all those individuals who've come to it because of a mental health problem, a relationship breakdown, they've lost their job, they've been in an abusive relationship. A lot of people in the country at the moment are, you know, living on the edge. It doesn't take a lot to lose your home or to come into that situation at the moment.
Yeah, I suppose it's important to remember that it could happen to any one of us, couldn't it?
Absolutely. You know, the majority of people, a lot of people, you know, they're one pay slip away from being in really problems, or one universal credit payment. So I think it is how we support people, not just by donating to charities, but also how we support people to rebuild their lives through interaction. You know, whether it's the big issue seller to say good morning, but, you know, to actually buy it and take it, because I think my challenge to people is, and I see it, lots of people will not take the magazine. And actually, if you're not careful, you're then turning the seller into a beggar, and that's not the decision big issue sellers have made.
Yeah, because a lot of people want to help, don't they? If we walk past someone who's obviously homeless and in trouble on the street, we want to give cash, but then we're told that's not the right thing to do. So what is the right thing to do, and is that why schemes like this are really helpful?
I think the right thing to do is to make sure that that person is getting support. You know, if they're working with Change Please, they're working with a big issue, they have that level of support, and actually their journey of standing on the street or standing as a barista, they're on the way. So the way to support them is to trade with them. I think where you see people sleeping on the street is you need to establish if they're known and there's a charity supporting them. You know, Crisis, St Mungo's, there's a lot of charities in London that are really working hard with people. But actually, you know, these people haven't chosen to be there. Something in their life, something in society has just knocked them off piste. And I think it is when people see homeless people or see that big issue seller, see one of Kamal's baristas, they're still people's sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, and actually look at them as a person rather than a homeless person.
I think one of the most damning headlines today is a 169% increase in homelessness in the past 8 years alone. John, of course, we've got the budget tomorrow. Philip Hammond going to tell us how he's going to spend those tax pounds over the next 12 months. What would you like to see him do when it comes to the issue of homelessness?
You know, we've got the great debate going on, there isn't enough affordable housing, and I think that is straight up. If you look at the housing stock in London, and particularly some of the new flat blocks, you know, they're not real housing. They've become housing in London has become an asset class rather than creating homes for people. So I think it is how we provide homes for people that are affordable, yeah, for that individual, because the definition of affordability, I think, is questionable. They may be affordable for one person, but not another. How we actually then support people through mental health provision, through schemes back to work, to actually get back on the ladder, because people do want to move forward. But if we can't give that hand up to them, as distinct from the hand out, they will be stuck.
We'll leave it there. John Montague, thank you very much for your time, the Managing Director of the Big Issue Group.
Thank you.
You're watching